For those of you who are viewing us online, we will be recording this session. So at our last, this is our results for today's session as we go over new data mats, building relationships among regional partners, review and engage in collective sense making on data related to education in the AV, and practice connecting data related to education to the 6 conditions of change. Yes. So that's what we're aiming to do for today. Today's agenda, we're going to have an icebreaker shortly. We're going to review our meeting agreements. So for those of you who would like to read those for us at the table, feel free. We are asking you to do that. Then we're going to have our data sense making, and we're going to review education today. We're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we'll review our timeline and then have our closing reflections. So let's do our icebreaker. In fact, I'm going to have Yilda come on, and she's going to lead us in an icebreaker exercise this morning.
Good morning. So our icebreaker for the morning, name your favorite subject in school and your favorite teacher. And if you guys would like to share, we will want to know why. So name your favorite subject in school and your favorite teacher. We have.
Yes, we have the mic again. Here.
Favorite subject in school and your favorite teacher and why?
My favorite subject was English, and my favorite teacher that taught it was Miss Wong.
Oh, thank you. Anyone else?
I'm Diana Couch. Favorite mathematics, and favorite teacher was Miss Burke.
My favorite subject was English, and I'll be honest with you, I couldn't remember the teacher's name. I read it 40 years ago. I don't remember. Sorry.
Mi materia favorita en ese entonces es sociales, ciencia, conocer ríos, volcanes, pasear, viajar al mundo. Y mi maestro favorito se llama Reinaldo.
Thank you. Thank
We
you.
have some on the chat too. Do you want to get about that?
We have Doretta, history is relevant even today, and Mrs. Dunbar was fair, firm, and consistent. She showed that she cared. Esmeralda said favorite subject was microbiome in college because my professor, Dr. Lobos, was passionate about the subject and taught it in a way that we could all relate. David said architecture, Mr. Kelly, Little Rock High School. And then I have Marta, I am a nurse, so my favorite subject was neonatal nursing, and my favorite teacher was Miss Maddo.
Sonia said that her favorite subject was math, and the teacher was Mr. Gonzalez.
Okay. Thank you everyone for sharing.
And I have to throw in my little 2 cents. Mine was history, and my favorite instructor was Mr. McDonald at AV College. And he was my history mentor, and he pushed me to go to school. So thank you for that, Yilda. We're going to continue on with our meeting agreements at your table and online. You should be able to see our meeting agreements. If I could get a volunteer at one of the tables to read that. Anybody? Yeah, just pass this, pass it.
There it is. How many do you want?
As-
Just read them all, Kelly.
Go for it, Kelly. Just do it, girl.
Be punctual, stay present and engaged and on topic. Put the focus on the future. Be authentic yourself. One person speaks at a time. Agree to disagree respectfully. Finish your sentence, not your paragraph. Step up, step back. Exercise confidentiality when necessary. Be patient and open to the new technology. Keep your video on if possible. Assume positive intentions. A rainy day will make flowers. Separate person from the role. Be creative and have fun.
Awesome. Thank you, Miss Kelly. Greatly appreciate you. All right, we're going to continue on. As you know, we've been dealing with making sense of the data that's been coming our way. The last session, we went over the child, youth, and family data for the Antelope Valley. And today we're going to be making sense of education. So I'm going to have Sylvia come up and she's going to lead us further into understanding what we're looking at today as far as education and the 6 conditions of change. Sylvia.
Good morning. Thank you, Darrell. So just doing a little review, Stephanie, if you can go to the next slide, please. Just reminding everybody that the approaches that we used are really about empowerment evaluation and community-based participatory action research. Both of these approaches really have a high degree of community participation and ownership. Next slide, please. As we look at each one of these domains that we've seen, we want to continue to keep in mind how we think about this, looking at them as the bigger picture, looking at them as systemic. I want to show this video that many of you have seen already, just a reminder of how we're thinking about the systems and the systems that are affecting these problems we're looking at. Stephanie, if you can.
The iceberg is a tool. We use in systems thinking. What it's trying to describe is actually a few things. Up here, we have the tip of the iceberg. Some people call this the event. If we're operating at the events level, or some people would call it the symptoms level. If we're operating based on what we see right in front of us, then we're operating at the tip of the iceberg level, and we are only in a position to react after the fact to what we can see. You go a little bit further under the surface here to the trends and patterns that created that situation, you're going to be better able to respond. Go even deeper to the structures and the designs and the behaviors that are causing the trends and patterns that ultimately result in the events is a design challenge. And then down here you have the thinking that drove those designs, that created those patterns that ultimately ended up in an event. And that's where the transformation is. It's in the thinking. Now, a mental model is a term we use as systems thinkers. If you are an innovator, you would use the term paradigm. If you are a cognitive linguist, you'd use the term frame. If you're a brain scientist, you would use the term mental map. It's literally the map of existing neural pathways in your brain. It's the sum total of everything you've thought about and all the connections you've made up until this moment.
Thank you, Stephanie. We can go to the next slide. So again, as we look at all of these issues or domains that we've looked at that are important, that are affecting our community, let's keep in mind where we may be at. Everybody that's here in person, you'll see this picture. You'll see you have it on your table, and it also has the definitions.
We will, for everybody that's here virtually, we will include this with everything that we send out, including the slide deck and any other information. We'll make sure that you also have this. This is something for you to keep. It's just a continual thinking and putting ourselves of where we are as we are looking at these domains, and just remembering that there, we have these 6 conditions that we must be able to make some changes. But the most difficult one is always changing our mental view of things and how we see things, how we respond to things, and how we learn things. And so this is always keeping in mind that if we are conscious and we purposely want to see some change in our community, see some change in the systems, then part of what we have to do is we also have to shift our mindset. And that at times is one of the most difficult things to do, but it can be done. So like I said, as we talk about the topic for today, which is education, let's keep in mind, let's think systemically of how big the education system is, and really how it has so many components, and how we can make some changes to it. And then next slide. So today, as I said, we're going to be talking about education. What we're going to do is we're going to break out into groups, and we have approximately about 60 minutes where we'll have a thorough and a deep dive into the data mats that we have. And you'll see them on virtually in your groups. You'll be on Jamboard and you'll be able to see the data mats. Here in person, you guys have the data mats at your table as well. We have them both in English and in Spanish. And really, just as we're doing this, let's take a look at this data. There's a lot of data here that is very impactful. Take a look at it and see, as you're seeing the different numbers and the information that's on there, think about what is impacting you, what is standing out to you, and then also think about what different systems are affecting the overall education. But it's really going to be really interesting. There's a lot of data regarding the Antelope Valley, and really setting it up for us that there's a lot of work that needs to be done when it comes to this domain. And just if we can go to the next slide. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and get started. We have enough people here that we can just do one group without having to break everybody up. And online, we have 2 groups online. Okay, so we'll have in the virtual, we'll have Flora do one of the virtual rooms. Bridget is going to facilitate the other one, and here in person, Darrell and I will facilitate here in person. So you'll be doing the timing, and then Stephanie's going to open up the breakout rooms. And like I said, we have approximately about 60 minutes to just really review a lot of this data as we see it, okay? We always need more and more time, but I think it just generates more ideas and really emphasizes the work that we still need to do, right? So I'm really glad that these conversations went well, but one of the things, we'll do it both virtually and in person. We'll talk a little bit about what this was like, but one of the things I wanted to go over is what we've been doing, this whole data mat, the whole conversations. We're halfway through our conversations, our data journey. And as you can see here, we still have a few more that we've got to do. And once we finish that, we will do what we call our data journey. And what that's going to look like is we're going to come together and we're going to go through all the different data mats that we've done, and what came out, what your voices, what you guys were saying about this. And then after that, we as the Best Start community will then decide on our 2 focus areas. So that'll be most likely end of June, maybe July, because we still have a few more of these data mats. And one of the things that I wanted to say about these data mats too, and I had a community partner reach out yesterday and wanted to know if we could share this data. This data is for the community. You could share this with anybody. I mean, we want everybody to become aware of what this data is. If you need paper copies of them, let me know. We can get that for you. If you need some for friends and family, or even other organizations where you work, we can get that for you as well. But I'm excited. I think we've gotten some really amazing conversations. And when we get to this end, it's going to be tough to decide where we want to go, because we realize there's so much work that needs to be done here in the Antelope Valley. But again, I want to say thank you for that. And then next slide. And then, yeah, we wanted just to hear what you guys, what this experience was like, what you got out of this today. Darrell has the microphone, and we could start in person, and then we'll go virtually if anybody either wants to raise their hand or put it on the chat in terms of what your experience was today, what your reflections are for today. Anyone? Come on, Kelly. Come on, Kelly.
Very informative, as far as just looking at the data on East and West, that it was very disturbing for me just to see, you know, how everything is fluctuating from side to side.
You know, one of the things with our group, one of the things that we came up is, like, if you, the section of absenteeism, right? Those numbers were for 2018, 2019. Those numbers don't even cover the pandemic. Imagine what those numbers really are going to be, because there were so many factors that affected absenteeism, right? There was where maybe they didn't have internet. There was no Wi-Fi in the house. How could they even log on to get into classes? How about some of the kids just couldn't do it? They require, you know, the parents couldn't be there to help them, you know, log on, or they just didn't have access to with computers or laptops. So imagine what those numbers really are going to look like in a year or so. Like, I mean, it's going to be insane. And then throw in everything else that already affects them, right? The having low income, where you're living, the lack of nutrition, you know, all these other factors. It is sad and disturbing, like you said, for these numbers.
That's why we're here today, so that the numbers will look different once we see them numbers. By the time we see the other numbers, that means we did the work.
I agree. I want to look at these data mats not as a way to make us depressed in terms of what is happening. It's just an eye-opening, and I want to use these as our takeoff point. This is what's going to, like, push us off to the work that we have to do. This is going to be our diving board, right? This is not going to bring us down. It's, if anything, it's going to give us wings on where we're going to go next. Anybody online? Anything in the chat? Huh? Oh, but Diana, and then
I was really impressed with hearing a lot of things from the point of view that I hadn't considered before. And how skewed these numbers can be, just because of the different types of cultures and problems that go on. I mean, a lot of our younger kids are having to work to help support their family. So they're having a hard time getting through the education part of it. And they don't see the value, because work is more important. What I'd like to see happen from this point is, I'd like to see more of a balance between the Eastern and Western, first of all. It seems like both East Lancaster and East of Palmdale both have this similar issue, that we're just really missing the boat. And a lot of that, I'm sure, is because of the economic and diversities in those areas. So those are areas we really need to kind of poke away at. And then the childcare area, which we didn't get into too much, but I did on before, is another big one. And we have people that can take care of more children, but they need help with that. There's things going on to help support that now. We're hoping that we can get better childcare for these people who are needing to work with their kids in school and stuff like that.
we need to connect more people to CCRC, because there is great opportunity for people to become childcare providers. And they have different ones where it'll be like, if you're a family member, you don't necessarily have to have that license, but you know, if you're a family member, you could also provide the childcare, because the reality is a lot of people would rather not work than pay for childcare, because their whole check could be for childcare at how expensive it can be. So really you're right, it's a huge issue.
And the other thing, for those who have a parent at home or, that maybe could go to school a couple of days a week and do online, so they go back and forth, but they're living more personal care that way. So maybe on the educational side of it, we could do something that would give kids would need a little bit more extra incentive help. And of course, that would mean having to provide computers and things like that for people who don't have them, so we can get a balance of people taking advantage of the program. But you sure don't want kids home if they don't have a parent at home, so definitely only for those who may have a parent.
I know.
Or something like that. So that was some of the things that I saw that I'd like to see happen.
Thank you, Diana. You have somebody? Jarrell, we have Bridget online.
I could just come off mute. Something someone shared was due to the lack of childcare, parents are having siblings care for other siblings, which in turn affects the children or may also affect the parents, right? Because if it's either they're attending work or they don't have anyone to watch over their other children, so they're having the older sibling watch the younger sibling. Another point someone brought up was parents need to be aware why children need to attend school and how it affects them, whether they're tardy or whether they're absent. Those are two big points that someone brought up.
Anyone else wanna, can we get the microphone over here, please?
I think that one thing that a lot of people are not knowing about is that there's every student, like I said, is different. There's a lot, we need to have more of like, I know there's a lot of career fair days, but what about if there was like educational fairs? Like, having, events, outreach events where, okay, students can attend and say, hey, oh, I didn't know about this school. I didn't know about this. I didn't know this program existed here or there. So there's so many different career fairs, but I think there should also be educational, like resource fairs, mainly to provide that personalized support to the parents, and then the parents would be like, oh, I didn't know about this, because that's something that's lacking a lot in the ABs, that not every parent knows about these different resources, educational resources.
So let's talk and let's see how we can start something like that.
Okay. That's just my head was going like this.
Like, let's do it.
How could we get a list of every youth organization, every church, every after-school program, so that we can create a flyer and then we put on a day, that day? Because a lot of times people just don't know.
Yeah.
And just steal it to them in school, the kids put it in the back, right, they'll throw it away. If we go where they are, we could go to all the beauty salons, barbershops, everywhere, and just say, hey, this is happening this day. If you can't come, we will have a representative come to you. I've done it before where we pull people together for neighborhood watch meetings or all the clients at the salon, wherever, and we brought the information to them. This community is so small, but it's big enough where there's still, a lot of people don't know everything, but it's small enough where we can do little things in little groups. That, I think, is the best idea we talked about today, is having a youth school fair. Not about jobs, not about homelessness, not about groceries, nothing. Education.
But then we get their careers afterwards.
Yeah.
I think that's
Okay.
awesome idea.
So let's start exchanging some emails. No, this is the kind of stuff that we need to do, right? Because maybe you don't identify as AV community leaders or ambassadors, but that's exactly what you are. Because now you're saying like, hey, this is what we can do. It's not just coming to the table with, it's this problem, this problem, this problem. Let's start having some solutions. And this is one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Anyone else online that wants to share anything? Okay, come on. Come here. Okay, we have one more share. We have one more share from. Yeah, come on. One more share from Flora, and then we'll give it back to Darrell because I know we're running out of time.
Yeah. So basically my group mimicked many of the thoughts that were already said, and they did talk about like creating tools for the parents, like the networking, the connection, how important it is. Even as us being here in the group, we were getting connections from CCRC, from other programs, but really empowering our parents and how they could advocate for their children or the community or caregivers. So just even getting those tools for caregivers to be able to go to the schools, or how do I get an IEP? How do I make sure my child is getting the adequate necessities in public school, or even just kind of targeting funding of how we saw the district numbers from like Court Hill to East Palmdale, East Lancaster, and how come we can't get equal funding and things like that. So just realizing like how it all starts and how it trickles down. So thank you.
So.
As we get ready to wrap up, as you can see online, we have a flyer of an event, the Alternatives to Violent Project. And the young lady who is sponsoring that is with us in person. So I'm going to, the next one is going to be May 22nd through the 25th at Sycamore. So I'm going to ask Diana. Diana, since you're here, you can speak to that, what you're putting on. Come on, young lady, come on up here. Yeah, well, just don't be popping no wheelies. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. I'm Diana Couch, and I'm with the
Turn toward the
Alternative to
camera.
Violence Project.
Turn to the, smile at the camera, Diana.
We are doing a workshop that is absolutely free to everyone who's attending. It is May 22nd to 25th. It's a 4-day workshop, Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's going to be at the Sycamores. There is a Eventbrite. Is
Yes.
on the best start website, and or you can directly register through me. Either way, this is kind of workshop that everybody gets involved and learns more about themselves, and then learns better ways of handling things. These are conflict resolution skills. How many of you have talked to your child and then wish you had said it differently? That you had handled that a little bit better. That's the kind of skills that come out of this workshop. A disagreement with your spouse or your partner that could have changed and been a lot better had you been able to address it differently. That's what this workshop is. If, for instance, you have a neighbor that's really causing a problem, how do I address it without causing a war? We want to find ways of handling conflicts without increasing the violence around us. So this is a workshop that looks at your skills already, takes those and builds upon them. We share with each other. It's an interactive workshop. You're constantly doing activities and moving around, so it's not like a lecture or anything in that direction. So if you're interested in that, you can get onto the website for Best Start and look for the Eventbrite event poster and sign up that way. Or you can, as I said, contact me. I'm at avpav@aol.com. That's Apple Victor Paul Apple Victor. avpav@aol.com. There is no fee for the class. It's been covered by the Antelope Valley Violence Prevention Coalition. So, and being helped supported by Best Start, the Sycamores is providing their space. So it's going to be a terrific experience and a community one. So if you're interested, it is not in Spanish. But if you want to bring an interpreter with you, you can do that. I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish, and we don't have any facilitators yet that speak Spanish. So if you're interested in Espanol and you want to come in and bring somebody who can interpret for you, you're more than welcome, because you can fit in really well too. It's a worldwide community program here, so, and we are a worldwide program, so it's covered all over the world, so join us.
And
I have a
we'll share this
question.
flyer with everybody that sign in. We'll make sure that you also get a copy of this flyer so that you can, and it has a link to Eventbrite as well.
Okay, so we are at the conclusion of our meeting. You can follow us on Facebook. You can connect with us on our Instagram, our YouTube, and Linktree. So for those of you who are online, thank you for joining us. I wish you were here, then you could get a sandwich box, but you're not, so we'll be thinking of you. We love you. Have a great day. Thank you for joining us. Bye now, everybody. For those of you who are here, grab a lunch box. We also have some extra data mats. So if you want to take a few and share with your neighbors, your colleagues, family members, friends, take some of these data mats and share them with others and continue